This is Gateway City Sports. This is the Derek King Sports Show. Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou Athletics, Chiefs. He has it covered. The Derek King Sports Show. Only on Gateway City Sports.
Here we go again. Not really a surprise. Take a couple weeks off. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy a vacation. Take a little time. And then just everything goes to hell in a handbasket like it usually does. Things never work the way you want them to work, or they do what you're supposed to do. So you have to stop, and then you have to restart, and it's one thing after another. But who really gives a damn? Here we are. Back at it again. This is Derek King, the Derek King Sports Show. So a few things have happened since I've taken some time off. The Cardinals have re-signed Yadier Molina to a 1-year, $10 million deal. That's fine. I don't necessarily have an issue with that. My concern is, where are we going forward with this? Is there some overall arcing plan that we have? Is he going to be handing off the torch next season to another player? Or, what's it going to mean for Adam Wainwright? He's had a resurgence. What is the plan? I think we've all been asking that question as of late. And what in the world is going on, and why? So I was reading through a few different forums and different social media accounts and so on and so forth, and just the everyday folk, you and me, and what we think and how we feel about this entire situation with Yadier Molina, potentially Adam Wainwright. I think the consistent information that I am getting out of this is that people want to see a reuniting of sorts of the three amigos of Yadier Molina, Adam Wainwright, and Albert Pujols. That's all fine, but that's depending on whether or not the DH gets instilled in the National League next season. I think that's really the case. I think that's probably what will end up happening, but we'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath. I cashed out on this team, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who go, you aren't really a fan. You're not really a fan because you gave up on them. Listen, I've watched baseball for just as long as I've watched the NFL, for over 35 years. And let me tell you something. This is by far one of the worst teams that I've watched since the 80s. We had great teams during the 80s, even in up until the early 90s. We even had talented teams in the early 90s. It was just, there were other more talented teams in the early 90s. And plus, Joe Torre was, not really the manager at the time that the organization needed. All that being said, hey, how about Joe Torre? Why is it that in the early 90s that he was what he was with the Cardinals, then he goes to New York and does what he does there in New York? A lot of people are going to say, and you can chime in on this, and I can guarantee you that I'll probably reiterate the same thing here in just a moment, but it's money. The Yankees had money to an extent of what the Cardinals never had. The Cardinals never had that payroll revenue stream that they could do. So there's one potential possible factor there, because Torre also then went to the Los Angeles Dodgers and had little success over there, but he just that was towards the end of his career. But for TLR to come in when he did, and with Jocketty and the whole changing of the guard during that time period in the mid-late 90s, where the Cardinals needed proper checks and balances. Jocketty was the GM. That's what he did. TLR was the skipper. He's the manager. He managed the team. That's what he did. Proper checks and balances. As to where, in most situations, you'll see where you have a good manager GM combo, see them have success and you see them win. Look at what TLR is doing right now with the Chicago White Sox. He's winning. Doesn't matter if you like him or you don't like him. He's winning. What did Mike Matheny do in St. Louis? Being a yes man. What is Mike Shildt doing in St. Louis besides being a yes man and toeing the line? I'd love to quote the movie Moneyball because it's got a lot of really good tidbits of how baseball works now, the mentality of baseball. And that is the Billy Beane philosophy of now, I'm going to build a team, and the way I build a team monetarily is the way I want you to play them. Because I'm looking at statistics, I'm looking at not batting averages, I'm looking at OBP, and I'm looking at, OPS plus, and I'm looking at all these other different percentages. I want guys on base. Because if you get guys on base and then the guys behind them can get on base, theoretically you score more runs. It's simple mathematics. You score more runs, you're going to win more games. The difference is when you get into the real crunch time of baseball, that really tough part in October where you're wore out, you're beat up, you're tired, and you've got to go out there and compete at a high level. That is where professionalism really comes in. That's where having a manager that can manage, hence key word here, we're big on that around here, keywords, phrases, it's like I'm your own little thesaurus here. Managing players, managing. That's the key factor to all of this. Mike Matheny was never a manager. He was a placater. He was a guy that would run around and hold a guy's hands and pat him on the butt, say, good job. Never wanted to make any enemies, never wanted to make anybody mad. It's the same thing with Mike Shildt. He wants to be a player's coach. You can't be a player's coach. There's going to be players that are going to hate your guts. That's just the way it is. How many coaches do you see that are great coaches that have had great success? Not just one championship, one World Series, one Super Bowl, one something. Just one. How many have you seen that have had continued success that are just great guys? We all think of somebody, for example, with Dick Vermeil. We think of him as a great guy. He is a very nice man. But let me tell you something. I've talked with the players that he coached. He was a hard coach. He expected a lot out of you. You talk to any of his other former coaches that coached with him that was on the staff, the amount of hours that he required coaches put in were absolutely unnecessary and obscene. He didn't make a lot of friends when it came to that, but he was a good coach. Bill Belichick, that's a great example. I know people are going to be, he's a cheater. Irregardless, he's won Super Bowls. He's turned teams around. He's done things. He had success. Jets coach bowed out of that once he realized, man, this management, this ownership structure is screwed. This whole team is screwed. Nobody knows what they're doing from the top, from the bottom. They've got too many yes men in here. I need to go someplace where I could actually run a team. That's why he went to New England. He could actually go over there and run a team. Now, I don't like Robert Kraft as much as the next person, but Bill Belichick has had success. Is he a nice guy? No, he's not. The Cardinals need a manager. They need a real hitting instructor. They need a real pitching instructor. Not somebody who wants to go out there and be their buddy and be their pal and pat them on the butt, tell them how good of a job they're doing. They don't want them to be upset with them. Oh. Guess what? We're all adults here. Haven't we all taken criticism? You right there. Haven't you taken criticism at your job? In life, and people have poked at you and said, you're no good, or you need to do better, or guess what? For some people, that's a real driving force that it takes them to that next level. There's a difference between being critical and having criticism and constructive criticism. Something that you can build from. You could still criticize as long as you're doing it in a constructive manner that the player, that the person, the employee, whoever it is, that can build from and rise up and be better than what they were before. That's what the Cardinals organization needs from the top to the bottom. I'm not talking about ownership. I'm talking about John Mozeliak down. They need a clean house. I'm telling you, this is. I was on TOR and I did a guest spot. I guest over on the show on Team of Rivals. Check it out. It's up. But last week I went over there with Elliot and Pete, and we talked about this exact subject matter, and I'm fed up with it. Just as much as all you good fans out there that pay good money to watch this garbage product get trotted out there on the field every single day, and we got to watch this crap. Well, that's why you didn't have but maybe 25,000 people show up to say that you could cry any excuse you want to right now, and I know they are. But the reality is, fans are getting tired of your garbage. They're getting tired of seeing that kind of a crap being strut out there every single week. And I don't give a hoot what anybody says. You could have the best team in the world. If you have a terrible management structure and you have a terrible hierarchy, do you think those players are going to play hard for you? Do you think they're going to bust their ass for you? What, because they're your buddy? They're your pal? No, you need respect. That's something that the Cardinals organization doesn't have right now. And it's something that's got to change here real soon. I don't want to sit here and complain about it for an extended period of time because I know there's a lot of smart fans out there. There's a lot of smart people out there that look at this situation and go, hey, you know what? This is one of these things to where it's only going to have to be solved this way. And that's the way that I think. That's the way I feel. You guys feel any differently or something? You guys could chime in. Let me know one way or another. Tell me I'm a fool, whatever. That's cool. I don't care. You know, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take all your criticism and everything because I could do that over here. That's fine. That's what we do. You know, having a couple of weeks off, being able to recharge my batteries and do a few things, get some stuff done, has been a tremendous help on my end. You know, that being said, for some people in this world that we live in now, sports has been that escape from the monotony and from everything that we have seen and everything that we have been through over the last year and a half. And it's not really been that for some. And it's now people have lost that, and they're hoping that it comes back to that. But we don't need to get off into some tangent about certain particular things. We need to be excited about what's coming up soon. It looks like the Blues are making the right moves. It looks like, you know, the law team in St. Louis with the St. Louis lawsuit keeps winning on every single front there is to win on. The one thing I wanted to touch on, NFL related, and it's been making the rounds on social media. It's been out there on Twitter here as of late, the last couple of days. But there was an interview with Roger, the Dodger Goodell, where he basically said the exact same thing that he said about St. Louis to Buffalo. Buffalo, I'm looking at you. My fans that are out there watching in the Buffalo market, New York market, that are Buffalo Bills fans. Hey, guess what, guys? Here. Hi. You're losing your team. Okay? Whatever that BS captain says, the clown, Goodell, he's a liar. Okay? He's lying to you. Hello, McFly. You're losing your team. Okay? So you better figure it out, because it's either you give them the $1.5 billion that they want and they'll stay, or you try to renegotiate and work a new deal, and they're going to spurn you and screw you. Because let me tell you something, they're not going to Austin. Okay? They're not doing it. Jerry Jones ain't going to let it happen. The McNair estate ain't going to let it happen. Do you honestly think they're going to let a third team go into Texas right now? Maybe in 10 years or something if Texas continues to grow. But, I mean, no. And plus, Jerry Jones would probably have to be dead, because there's just no way Jerry Jones is going to let that happen. The McNair estate's not going to let that happen. So what's the other options? What? St. Louis? Well, St. Louis is embroiled in a lawsuit. You honestly think that's going to happen? Where are the Bills going to go? They're going to play hot potato. Where are they going to move them? No, they could still move them. Well, they could move them to Portland. Portland's too close to Seattle. People, it ain't happening. The only viable threat that they've been able to make has been Austin, because maybe Jerry Jones has said, hey, yeah, I'll let a team go into Austin. It's not like I'm pulling much from that market anyway. Oklahoma City is there as a potential possibility. There's a few other areas that you could potentially move a team to within the continental United States, but you still have the issue of the Jaguars in Jacksonville. You still have the issues, obviously, with Buffalo and Buffalo. You still have other teams that are coming up on leases that are coming up here very soon. Remember, we've talked about this. All you folks that have been following me from the very beginning, God bless you. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. You guys have been following me for as long as you have. You know that I've said this from the very onset, from the get-go, and it's been this. Very simple. What's going to happen when St. Louis starts winning this thing and the information starts coming out about how scrupulous or unscrupulous that the NFL is in negotiating with these municipalities, screwing them, lying to them, robbing them blind? How many municipalities or cities are going to want to go to bat with the NFL? Are you going to want to play ball with them? When you know they're working you under the table, are you going to want to do? No. It doesn't make any sense. I love using analogies because some people, it just kind of like they don't really get, because of their fandom, and it's not because of intelligence. Let's be very clear about that. It's about fandom, and the fandom is like, it's like blinders on a draft horse. They put them out, you can't see. You can't see anything going on. They don't want to see. Maybe it's because they feel that it might disparage the love of the fandom that they have for football. Well, let me tell you this right now. If people knew a quarter of what I know and what I've seen, you'd never watch football again. I do it because I still love the sport. I don't love the NFL. I love the sport. That's why I'm a big fan of the XFL. I'm a big fan of competition. I'm a big fan of other varieties and other options and opportunities that are out there. Vehemently, I am very much a fan of those other options. I'll be honest with you. With this entire situation right now with St. Louis, the NFL, if anything else comes out between the NFL and St. Louis and what has happened, none of it's going to shock me. It may shock the fans out there, the real fandom, the fanatical people that are out there, but it's not going to shock me whatsoever. It just really won't. Another thing that and this is going to be a relatively short show because I don't want to keep people too tied up too long on some of this stuff because it's a lot of stuff that we've already known or some things that we've already seen this week. But one of the big topics that I did want to get on is this news now this week, and this is for the people that are in the memorabilia market for sports, so on and so forth. Obviously, you could see my big red helmet there back behind me with all the signatures from all the legends of St. Louis football past. Right now, Fanatics is running the gambit on everything. Baseball, football, NBA, NHL is probably next. With the trading card market where Topps was 70-plus years, has had the rights to Major League Baseball, and to where now Fanatics is going in hand with Major League Baseball to now run the memorabilia trading card business. There's billions of dollars at stake here. This is really what it's come down to. So this is a real big threat to the memorabilia market when you're talking about football helmets, football cards, baseball cards, footballs, baseballs, signed autographed stuff, things of that nature. Because in the past, you could be able to get autographed memorabilia from your favorite Cardinals baseball player or a favorite Major League Baseball player in general, and it wouldn't really matter. And you get a little certificate of authentication or something. Maybe you would go to a signing event. They give you a little certificate of authentication, and they would tell you that, hey, this is authentic or whatever. They maybe put it in a case or whatever. You have those abilities to say, hey, I have this authenticated by this company that says that this is real. Fanatics is now going to be running all of that. So what's going to keep, once again, we talk about checks and balances. Checks and balances. What is going to keep Fanatic? And now, mind you, Fanatics just here, last year before last, they acquired Lids, the hat company. So what is going to keep Fanatics in check at this point in time? What's going to keep the whole situation honest as to where you don't have one particular company running the gambit on everything? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if there's lawsuits involved with this, if there's some kind of a federal investigation into this, because this is monopolization almost at its finest. But they're doing it in such a way to where it's not necessarily a monopoly, but it is. Will jumped in and says NFTs are now in the mix in this new digital age. Yeah, they are. They are for sure. But that's about all I got for this week. I didn't want to stay on here long. I just wanted to pop in. This is going to be our new time that we're going to be doing the show. We might even do it a little bit earlier. We might start at 12:30, but I'm still trying to play with the times a little bit and just see what works better. This seems to work pretty good. People have really chimed in and really liked this time change coming from 9 a.m. to this time. This is a lot better for them time-wise. And, hey, that's great. I love it. I love that it's better for everybody, and hopefully it continues to work out. So sorry about the very beginning of that. Once again, software crash, whatever the deal was at the very beginning, once we had first booted the show up, I thought we had it going. It turns out that something happened, malfunction at the junction, whatever it was. But irregardless, we got the show off. We got everything pretty much essentially taken care of for this week. We're going to be back again next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about some other things. But until then, guys, I appreciate you. Like I said, thanks for giving me a couple of weeks off and let me catch up on some sleep and everything else. And I will talk to you guys next week. All right? Take care. See you then.